What's going on, everybody? It's Childish back after the game, coming at you with another video for Summoners War Chronicles. And in today's video, we're going to be touching up on a tier list that was recently made by Gregonaut, as well as some of the top RTA players out there in our game. So Gregonaut is here to help us out today. Greg, how are we doing today, boss?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you again. For those that didn't get a chance to check out our first video, I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description down below, as well as a link for his Twitch channel if you guys want to go ahead and check him out live on stream. For the 2 or 3 times that he actually does his stream share. But anyways, my man, this is super cool. I had the opportunity to I was on stream the other day, and I had an opportunity to check out your guys' stream and get some insight on essentially a tier list as you were created for the community. This is going to be you said focus on just the Brawl Arena or the RTA format, the elemental units here. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so this is the well, basically, we had about 8 or 9 of the top RTA players from different servers, NA West, NA East, etc. No KR players, but I have been actually following the KR meta a little bit, so I can talk about that a little bit also. But this was the tier list for our current patch for Brawl, RTA Brawl, whatever you want to call it, arena mode.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a combination or compilation of multiple players, top players, ideas on what the current meta looked like.
Right.
So even though I ended up being the one who made it, I have a couple different opinions as to where some of these units sit, but this is what ended up coming out as a result.
Yeah,
of
right.
a lot of arguing.
Right. And that's a good thing to point out there too. This is based essentially on your guys' opinion, your guys' experiences, some of your guildmates, your friends and whatnot here. So for all of you guys that are watching right out here, obviously there's going to be some possible disagreements as far as your personal opinions or whatnot, depending on what you're saying. So take it with a grain of salt. Don't want anyone to get super upset about anything. I know tier lists can be so controversial, but at the end of the day, our goal is to help out the community. And I think that's what we're going to be able to do for you today, or do for the community today. So do me a favor, since everybody's tier list is a little bit different as far as the specific categories or 5 categories here. Can you kind of break it down as far as what you would, essentially generally put these in? Like what's the overall summary for every specific category on this one?
Yeah, so the S tier was basically, if you have this unit built and ready to go, you should be using them in every single or every single Brawl match. They're just so good. They're the top tier units right now. They're first pick, first ban every single game, and you're just generally gonna want to pick them every game. The A tier is like you're gonna be able to pick them in pretty much every situation. They're very strong picks. You're never gonna feel bad picking them into pretty much any team. So they just fill out the roster really well. B tier is a little bit more niche, but not quite niche. Like I wouldn't use that word. It's just they're not as strong as the A or the S tier picks. They're still good picks. You can still pick them most often, and they're going to be competitive picks. Then we start getting down into C tier. That's when we start getting into the niche tier picks. You're not going to pick them in every comp. You're only going to pick them in specific situations. They're still usable, but they're not as good as the top tier meta picks right now.
Sure.
And then you get down to the D tier, and those are kind of the ones that are just not really viable for specific reasons in PvP right now. It's not like they're all bad and completely unusable. Like if you've built one of the D tier units, you might be able to get away with picking them here and there, but they're not going to be as strong as the top tier picks.
Right. And to put it as well, even though it might be D tier here, it might be a higher tier if we were to make a PvE set, PvE like combination. So it could be,
oh yeah,
it could be it could be useful in some other aspect, and maybe you're trying to utilize it in PvP and maybe not working. Yeah, I guess that this, kind of considering how you have it laid out, that might be the reason why.
Yeah, I have Argon build. He's in the C tier. I would say he's the best PvE monster in the game. He would be S tier in PvE, but this is an RTA list. So, or sorry, again, a Brawl list.
Brawl list. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right into it. If you want to start out with a specific one, I feel like we can. I feel like some of the, I guess you would say what, maybe like B tier and up, kind of work on that. Your kind of take on these specific units and kind of going up there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'll start with Juno,
Okay.
because I mean she's right at the very top of the list.
Sure.
So when Juno came out, she actually came out kind of not bugged, but the translation was wrong, and so it said that cleansed all of your teammates and healed based on how many buffs were removed, and it only actually cleanses one unit, but it heals all the units. Like the AOE is still, or the heal is still AOE, but the cleanse is only single target. And
Okay.
so a lot of people, I don't know if they didn't build her or because she didn't come as advertised. I don't know if she got noticed as much as she would have otherwise.
Okay.
But basically, as people started to fully build Juno and started to really understand her power, she is an insanely strong unit, even with the change. She is an AOE stripper that leaves burns, so she'll strip an entire team's worth of buffs, and like the burns that she leaves are enough damage that sometimes she'll be the top damage dealer while being the top healer, while also stripping like all the buffs off the other team and leaving the most debuffs. It's some of the end game stat screens you'll see when you fully build Juno are crazy. She'll sometimes, like, at the end of the game, Anavel will have healed for like 400k, Kina will have healed for 500k, and then you'll see Juno healed for 2 million. Like, her
That's
numbers
crazy.
are just absolutely ridiculous right now. And even with her only healing or her only cleansing a single target, I think she's a little too strong right now.
Possible nerf pad in the future, you think?
I I have to think so. Her healing numbers when you go to that end game damage screen and healing screen, they're off the charts. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing that compares to Juno's healing right now.
So if you guys have this unit built, take advantage of it right now while it lasts. Hopefully, hopefully you can climb up in
Yeah,
the rank and get some nice rewards here. So,
yeah.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Is there? And then I guess we can talk about Vanessa because we might as well talk about both the S tiers.
Yeah.
Vanessa, she provides everything you just want in a bruiser except for a provoke. If she had a provoke, she would be even stronger. But she's basically 100% pick rate in both NA and KR games right now. She provides an AoE defense down, an AoE attack up. She revives, and revive is so strong right now.
Mm-hmm.
And because she's the best reviver, she's just easily, like, you could pick her into any comp because any unit could use a revive. You could play assassins and she'll revive them so that the assassins they don't feel as squishy. You basically have to target Vanessa first, or else you have to target the summoner first if you want to win the game. And so if you build your Vanessa tanky enough, then they have to just sit there and beat on Vanessa because she's often used with Cleef. Well, she's used with everybody, but our current meta is mostly Cleefs. So
Yeah.
you either have to kill Vanessa or the Cleef, and both options are not really what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
So
Pretty cool.
she's just you can just pick her. She's basically just 100% pick rate right now. If you have her, build her. She's gonna be great.
Okay. Taking a look at the A tier here. One of the things that I was thinking about while you were kind of talking about the S tier, because like you said, we got to talk about them. Obviously, they're top tier here, but I want to do let's flip the script on this one. Instead of you going through every single one, how about, I just kind of like look at these units here, and then, kind of be like, okay, these ones that I would never have thought, why they're up there. We'll talk about them. Like, for me personally, when I look at Lupinus, the ability to kind of cut through those beneficial effects is pretty strong here. Anavel being an overall amazing unit, cleanse, defense breaks, all that jazz. Just a very versatile unit that you could use in so many aspects of the game. Sekhmet, of course, single target stripper, super good. Very, very strong considering how many beneficial effects they utilize. But the next four, are kind of a little bit more surprising to me. Now, obviously, you and I have had a conversation with these next two units here, but I would love to talk about just these four units a little bit here in general and why you guys decided to categorize this in the A tier. Let's start with the Fire Panda here.
So if you're not playing a Cleef, you really want to have a provoker to keep units basically off Kina and Orbia. So if you're a Kina or an Orbia, the Fire Panda and Teor have really increased value pick-wise. They provide that provoke you need to keep units or to keep the enemy units off your important units. They'll keep the enemy units off your Kina, your Orbia, and these are the two that really rose to the top. They're the ones that kind of shine over the other provokers in the game right now. They do serve very different uses, though. So basically, the Panda, the Ziyong Fei, He is basically a tank support. He will provoke and he'll provide some defense downs, but where he gets a lot of his utility from is also in his heal. He does an AoE continuous recovery heal and also an AoE resistance up buff. And the AoE resistance up buff is really nice because it provides less stat requirements on your runes, basically. Because you have to build all your units on only 60% resistance instead of 100 if you want to hit max resist, since the resistance buff gives 40%. And the continuous recovery heal is very noticeable. Sometimes, like before Juno came out, the Xiong Fei would be most healing done in a lot of my matches over all the Anavels and the Kinas, etc. So he's just a really strong, versatile tank support. The only thing I didn't like about Xiong Fei is his ultimate uh, doesn't really help win the game. So I ran into some situations where I was playing like Bastet, Xiong Fei, and both of them are just support alts that didn't help me. I don't know. They
Mhm.
didn't help me win the game. They just
Right.
provided more support. Whereas when you play something like Anavel, she's a support, but also her ult is a AoE damage ult, and so I just got a little bit. I ended up gravitating more towards Anavel as a Cleave player, but as an Orbi or a Kina player, Xiong Fei is really strong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I will be the first one to admit I'm a true testimonial to the Fire Panda. I got a chance to check it out here when you showcased it to me the first time, and I could not believe the strength of this provoke and basically the amount of time that it's kind of sitting there on a provoker, versus the amount of time it's on cooldown. It's almost like a 100% uptime. Obviously, there's 4 seconds of downtime, whatever. But still, I mean, that's outrageously strong, and for it to be on a fairly low cooldown, sorry, not cooldown, but mana cost here as well. 3 mana cost is pretty darn amazing here.
Yeah, he has the best provoke in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Taylor's is a 4 mana cost, 24-second cooldown, versus the Panda is 18 seconds. So he's gonna do a better job of keeping assassins off your priority targets. So, and also at the very start of a game, sometimes in RT or sorry, Brawl,
All right.
sometimes in high Brawl matches, uh, if you don't have something you can do with your like the first 3 mana of the game, sometimes you will lose a unit before you can ever get a 4 mana ability off. So when I was playing Anavel, her cleanse heal is 4 mana, and sometimes like if I had like a Cleef, a Lupinus, and a let's say a Karambit all diving onto one of my assassins, you don't have time to get 4 mana sometimes. They'll just insta die. Whereas the Panda, because he's 3 mana, you could get his taunt off early enough that you could save your prio targets. So the difference between 3 and 4 mana is actually really huge at the start of a match.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Let's go ahead and check out the other unit that we were talking about here, Taor. Uh, it's so funny because when I think about Taor, I think about Sky Arena and the fact that he's just super amazing damager, speed scaling damager here. But in this particular game, he's set up as a tank, and like you said, considered a fantastic option here. If I can find it, where's it hiding?
Chimera?
Yeah, where's this? Oh, there it is. There it is. Right.
There you go.
Can't see it. There it is, right there.
Yeah, so Taylor serves a different purpose than Xiong Fei. So Xiong Fei is the tanky supporter, going to keep your whole team alive, whereas Taylor, he's got the provoke, but he also has the damage to back it up. So he's got a defense up on himself and also a defense up for your team. But the defense up for himself is level 4, so he gives himself a 60% defense increase, and he has really high scaling with at max level with his abilities with defense and also attack, and he will one-shot squishy units if left unchecked. So he provides kind of like the frontline bruisery role. He has problems a little bit also like Xiong Fei. Like there's a reason why they're not S tier.
Right.
His problem is that he doesn't have any way to sustain himself, so you really need like some kind of healer or something backing him up. And then also he's really susceptible to defense breaks, so you got to keep him cleansed. You got to watch him a little bit more than you got to watch the Panda.
Sure, sure, sure.
But if you do like, I don't know, not babysit him, but if you do keep him healthy and you keep the defense breaks off him, he's gonna really do a lot of damage. He's gonna play that bruiser role really well for you.
No, look at this right here. The ultimate bringing in level 7 defense up. Is that even what the heck is this? This is so crazy.
I don't even know. That's
Uh,
that's got to be like 70-80% defense increase.
yeah, that's nasty. Very nice, very nice. Okay, I think the next one was it the Wind Monkey King? Is that if I recall correctly here?
Yes, the Wind Monkey King.
Yeah, let's take a
So
look.
I actually built the Wind Monkey King early on, before Brawl was actually even in the game. So the first 2 weeks of the game, I had the Wind Monkey King built, and I ended up resetting him because I had other Devilmon I needed to use. But he was a very, very strong PvP pick. Honestly, I think he's probably high B tier than A tier, but again, it was consensus. He ended up in A tier.
Okay, okay.
So what he does really well is on his auto attack, he has a 7% chance to see, or I think it's is it 15 or 20% at max rank?
Max is 20%. Yeah.
20. Yeah. So when he auto attacks, he has a 20% chance to leap to an enemy and just hit them really hard, like 1,000% damage on, and it's no cooldown. Like it's just 20% chance when attacking. So he will jump around the arena, just slapping random targets and stunning them for 3 seconds and doing just a really high amount of damage. And his other abilities, one of his abilities has a strip on it, but it's only a level one. Sorry, it's only one beneficial effect.
Right.
So he doesn't. He's not going to serve the same role as Sekhmet, where he's just like stripping entire uh, teams. But he's good into teams with maybe a couple buffs or like not into like a Woosa, because Woosa is going to give your whole team like 8 buffs. But
Right.
if they have only a couple buffs, it's noticeable. And then his other ability has a defense break on it, or defense down. And so he just does a lot of damage. He plays the bruiser role well. His passive, whenever one of your teammates gets hit, he'll jump to a target and do again the Ascension Strike, where he stuns and hits them. So when you have the Green Monkey or the Wind Monkey King on your team, he's just jumping all over the arena, hitting random targets, stunning them, just causing chaos
All right.
basically.
I guess one thing to point out here is that when you look at it, like when I look at it on the front end, I'm thinking to myself, okay, but that's weird. Like he has that opportunity to stun, but ultimately he's going to be countered if people are utilizing like a heavy amount of beneficial effects. But the fact that he not only has the opportunity to stun, but still does really really good damage on that, it's like unless it's like Chloe with her invulnerability here, he's still going to be a really strong candidate just overall, just as far as
Yeah, he's just a really strong bruiser, and also he gives himself damage taken down on his passive. So you don't like you can build him very, very like not super squishy, because again he wants to play that bruiser role, but you can build him on a lot more crit rate, crit damage than you would otherwise be able to, and
right.
he's gonna stay alive.
Right on. Let's see here. So of course I kind of covered up the tier list here with the thing, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to like take a look at the skills.
I just want to mention one more thing about the Wind Monkey before we get off him. The only thing I didn't like about him was his AI is a little wonky. So you know how the AI works in this game, like certain units go after certain types of units. The Wind Monkey, when he's jumping all over the place, stunning people, his AI has to keep switching targets. And I found that a lot of the time the AI would kind of just break, and he would just start slapping whatever unit he jumped to. And so sometimes he'd jump to cleaves, and then he's just sitting there smacking the cleave over and over again instead of attacking the units I wanted him to attack.
Sure, yeah.
So that's his downside.
Yeah. Good old Monkey King has a mind of his own, this guy.
Yep.
Let's see. Now I'm actually I'm not really surprised at the fact that we got Woosa up in here. Obviously, beneficial effects are pretty darn important in the game here. But is there anything kind of outside of the what you would assume is like really good about them?
Not really. He's just a good healer. The big thing is he provides his entire team immunity. So if you don't have some way to strip the buff by using like Sekhmet or Juno or some way to deal with it, you're basically just going to lose the game because you're never going to apply any debuffs to him. He's going to keep his whole team healthy, and because you can't apply any debuffs like defense breaks or attack downs or anything, it just becomes basically like you can create basically unkillable teams. So you'll sometimes see Cleefs in high brawl rating basically just bring 4 supports in Cleef, and if you don't ban the Woosa or have some way to deal with the Woosa, you're just never getting through that lineup. He just makes some situations impossible to win against.
Sure.
But again, I think there's better supports. He's almost in like the B tier range where you're not going to bring him into everything, but where he shines, he really, really shines.
Right. Yeah, I never picked this one up when they dropped that banner here, and I felt, considering I think a lot of people put it out there, like I didn't think it was super important given the fact that we already had a really good support provided to us.
Yeah,
by means of Bastet.
I think a lot of people didn't pick him up because again we had Bastet already, and then we got Anavel shortly afterwards. So do we need a third water support? Most people thought not really.
Yeah.
But again in Brawl specifically, Woosa, he's a lot stronger than Bastet. So if you were worried about PvP Brawl only, Woosa would have been the better pick.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I personally don't have Woosa, but I'm just utilizing what I have built because I don't have that. I don't have the kind of resources to build like multiple units here. So cool. I think that one was the last one on the A tier here.
Yeah.
I guess we could take a look at the B tier if you want to as well.
Yep.
Again, for me, the units that are currently available right now, Theo, I was pretty straightforward with that one, having his obviously really good damage, but overall the endure to stay out there and do more damage at the very end. Chiwu, AoE stripper, right? Really, really strong considering how many beneficial effects are coming into play. Super good.
Go ahead. One quick thing about Chiwu is the thing that really shines about him was the block beneficial effects.
Sure.
It really countered some like you go against a Woosa and you block his beneficial effects, he does nothing. So Chiwu's in B tier. I don't find him that powerful, but if you bring him in the right situations, he's just gonna shut down entire teams. Like against the red panda Xiangfei, my most feared target was Chiwu. I would ban Chiwu's because the red panda would literally do nothing versus Chiwu if he got block beneficial affected.
But now the block beneficial effect is single target, right? It's not AoE, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I was like sitting here like, ugh, if that was, there's an AoE block beneficial effect we all could take advantage of. I feel like everybody would be building it right now, right?
No, Chiwu has. I mean, I didn't want to get super into Chiwu, but he's got some problems. He has low damage. He has a really weird animation on his Q, the ability you're looking at right now, where he basically spins in a circle and then shoots it out. And if somebody moves during that animation from when you pushed the Q and where it lands, it'll literally just hit nothing. Like it's not like a targeted ability. It's like it hits like in a small area, like I don't know. It's hard to explain, but if somebody moves, you'll use 4 mana and it will do nothing.
Okay. Good game.
So yeah, it's not very reliable.
Okay. Let's see. Taking a look. I kind of I definitely want to go back into the Water Magic Knight, but I'm just gonna kind of take a look again at the units that I have here. Toasterbro, again, an amazing speed scaling unit out there that I've seen that people utilize and do a ton of damage with. Funny enough, I remember Hathor, getting so much flack early on in the game as like not a good candidate, but with that, I don't know if it was a recent change or that was always there. The target skill cooldown on her ability seemed pretty unique. I don't know if that's something that people can take advantage of. Have you been playing around with Hathor at all? What do you think about her?
I haven't played around with Hathor at all. I've seen one player build her. Honestly, I'm not super impressed by Hathor, but some of the other Brawl players see a lot of potential in Hathor as if we move into more of a heavy CC meta, she would be one of the strongest units in the game because she just has like a very large AoE, like a very long sleep. I can't remember. I think it's like 14 seconds or something at max skill.
Oh, right. I think so. I keep on looking at the first guy. I got to look at max here.
Yeah, 14-second max skill. And so You can sleep basically an entire team permanently, and it decreases the mana of the opponent's summoner. Again, there's the increased skill cooldown.
Hmm.
Like you can just shut down an enemy team if you hit that AOE sleep. The problem is the units wake up really easily because you're not controlling. Like it's not like Sky Arena where you're controlling all your specific units one at a time. In this game, your units have their own AI, their own mind of their own, and so a lot of times you're just waking up random units by accident, and so the AI does try to target not units that aren't asleep, but
Hmm.
I had a friend that built Hathor, and he was very underwhelmed.
Right. Do you think now, considering how the mechanic works on sleep and the break it up after receiving 5S, do you think like maybe down the road they could potentially like, buff it up a little bit to have a little bit more hits after breaking it up so it lasts a little bit longer or
I
what?
could see that being a pretty good buff. Yeah, I don't know. I think sleep does have potential. It's just I don't know. It's not really in the greatest place right now. Like there's no units in basically our S, our A, or B tier that have sleep besides Hathor, and even Hathor, I would personally, if I was making this tier list, I probably would have put her C because I've been again underwhelmed by her.
Okay.
But yeah, some of the other top players see her as see the potential in her, and they've lost games to Hathor because I guess if she does land that miracle 4-person sleep and nobody wakes up, it's basically game over.
Right. Right, right.
There's not much you can do because you're asleep for 15 seconds, and then it has a 30-second cooldown, but it has a mana cost. So you just select her as your main unit, and you just sleep them again for 5 mana at the end of the 14 seconds, and they're just never waking up.
Right on. Let's see. The rest of the list here, actually, I think pretty much every other one here. I'd love to get your take on the Wind Panda, Fire Monkey King, and then the Water Magic Light here. Funny enough, I would have thought I know there was something about the Water Magic Light where they had to make a recent change here because of the fact that it has like some multi hits and let me see here.
Yeah,
Let me take a look at this here.
whichever one you want to start with, we can start.
Let's do Magic Knight here. So Magic Knight, hit me up on this one. Why do you think
Yep.
it's
So
kind of
I was one of the few players who actually built the Water Magic Knight Lapis instead of Luminous. She is a really strong unit. Like her mana bullet shot, the one you're on right now, uh, it hits 4 times for 300% damage. So she's hitting for 1,200% damage, which is really
right?
high. She lands defense downs in between each shot. So if the first one lands a defense down, they're taking even more damage. The one caveat is it hits random targets. But basically, what you can do is, let's say an Orbia runs away from her team a little bit, you can you can basically wait for Orbia or Kinos to walk away from their team and then use the mana bullet shot because it's going to target units that are near the target that you targeted with the mana bullet shot. So if they get away from their team, all the hits are going to hit the one target.
Ooh,
So
okay.
it takes a little bit of practice, but she's a really strong bruiser. You build her basically full damage, a little bit of tanky stats so that she doesn't die, and then her retrieve magic is gonna keep her very healthy as long as you're landing this ability quite a bit. It AOE damage, heals, attack down. I found it really strong for killing Vanessas because there's not really a lot of targets that deal with Vanessa really well in the game right now. Like we don't really have that many water bruisers basically besides Teor.
Right.
So Lapis filled a pretty good role. I'm not really quite sure why she's getting nerfed in the next patch. I ended up resetting my Lapis because if she's getting like she's fringe, she's B tier right now. If she gets nerfed, basically what's getting nerfed on her is her healing on her retrieve magic. If she hits multiple targets, it's only going to heal, I guess, off one target.
Right, right.
And she already, I don't know, she had bad matchups before, and her real role that was pretty good was she was a pretty decent bruiser who was good into Vanessa's and good into a lot of these fire units. If they're gonna remove a lot of her bruiseriness, like her ability to actually keep herself alive, I don't know how viable she's going to be in the future. But right now in the current patch, she has a decent role
Okay,
as a water bruiser.
that's good. It's always nice to, like I said, have a nice wide variety of not just straight CC crowd control, but just overall bruisers and units. I feel like when I think about Sky Arena back in the day, it was all about turn one, how fast you can go and see what you can do. And now even on Sky Arena, it's a whole lot more balance here, and you can bring in a you can turn two comps are viable, bruiser units are viable. So it's kind of cool to see a lot more bruisers up here in the meta, messing around here. For me personally, I personally have not used a lot of units with the warrior archetype or whatnot.
Hmm.
So the fact that there are some good ones here out there, that's makes me excited about the future.
Yeah, a lot of the warrior units feel, I don't know, I wouldn't say they feel really bad, but their AI, they recently got an AI change, so they fight assassins first.
Right.
And right now we've got a lot of like Lupinuses, Karambits, that kind of thing. So having a Lapis to basically just go after Karambit at the start of every match and just insta kill him, it just feels really nice because then afterwards she doesn't like, if you have an assassin and it kills basically the support or the archer, then it will usually go after a support next. But no one's ever really going after Vanessa. Like if you have a Karambit, it's not going to really turn around and kill Vanessa.
Right.
So Lapis, being a warrior after he kills the assassin, will then just go for the tanks. So it's kind of nice having that warrior role to counter some things like Vanessa, because Vanessa again, she's literally in every single game right now. So having a unit that could deal with her was kind of nice.
It's funny that you make the point about Vanessa because I was, one of the people out there that spent $10 on her, but never actually invested her and paid, multiple passes. So why haven't you built Vanessa? I'm like, I don't know. I just haven't built it. It's a big mistake on my end.
Oh, she's even great in PvE if you max her, because she's
Yeah,
got the defense down on her one ability and then the attack up on her buff. So she will provide great utility even in PvE. Like Vanessa's great.
yeah. So for those of you guys out there listening, trying to think of a unit to build that you can utilize in more aspects than one, that Vanessa definitely fits that role there. It's going to be a nice little option here. So I think the next one was the Fire Monkey King, who is right here. Oh, what do you know? Another
Yeah.
warrior. Look at the warriors getting love today.
Honestly, so I haven't seen Fire Monkey King used much. So this is kind of a speculation pick. He basically is very, very similar, if not identical, to the Green Monkey King, the Wind Monkey King, except he has a different passive where he basically can't be CC'd.
Right.
The Wind Monkey King, his passive, giving himself damage reduction and jumping around and stunning more targets and being more mobile, I feel is better. But
Yeah.
some players also would prefer the just not ever being CC'd. So we just kind of put him slightly below the Wind Monkey King because they basically are just the same unit, different elements.
Yeah, I was gonna say definitely. When I look at the skill, I was like, man, it's kind of like considering what all the things that when Monkey King does, like this Ascension Strike here just provide a little bit more recovery HP. I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Even the overall damage, I don't think it's comparable to the Wind one here. Let's take a look. Oh no, it's
No.
more or less a little bit lower, and like I said, the stun rate.
Yeah, and not having a stun, it has drain.
Right.
Again, I haven't seen any of the Fire Monkey King, and also with the Wind Monkey King, I feel like Wind is right now a better element than Fire, just because we have so many Fire options. Like if you look at the tier list, we got Sekhmet, Vanessa, Ziyang Fei. Like there's so many Fire units you could use: Chiwus, Juno, Tisarian, and then for Wind units we have Lupinus.
Right. Yeah.
And so I feel like Wind is right now. Wind, there's not many options. So the fact that he's a Wind element unit, I think has a higher priority. Like he's gonna have a worse time into Vanessa than the Fire Monkey King will, but he's gonna have a much better time in like the Wind Monkey King's gonna have a much better time versus all the supports right now because all the supports are basically like Anavel, Bastet, Woosa, and then people are bringing Theomars, etc. So there's still a lot of water units out there.
Yeah.
Whereas the Fire Monkey King here, he's not going to have like there's not very many wind units out there right now. Again, besides Lupinus, so he doesn't really have. After he kills Lupinus, there's not really there's not really anyone else for him to go after with elemental advantage.
Right. One thing that I guess I didn't take a look at here, or maybe it was no, I think we're good. I think I was looking at the level 1 versus the level 5. It's going to be the same. I was like, wait a minute, we didn't look at level 5. Look at this damage, but if you go to Win Monkey King, it's still higher.
Yeah, it's still higher. Yeah,
yeah, it's still
exactly.
higher. Okay, I got a little excited. I was like, no, I found something that Fire Monkey is good at. No, no, no.
Nah.
But
So yeah, I don't know. We speculated, put him B. Honestly, in my opinion, he's probably C, and I would probably bump the Wind Monkey King down to like high B. But again, this isn't just my tier list. It's a consensus of the top players. So he ended up in B.
Right. Based on user opinion, and everybody that's watching here, don't get mad. Don't get mad. Okay. Subjective. Now here's one of the things that I got a chance to catch at the very end of your guys' stream when you were creating this list here. The Wind Panda. Wind Panda for me did not fit the bill as one of those units out there, but it seemed like there was kind of a hidden feature of it that I didn't really realize that kind of made it definitely shine more than I would imagine here. So tell me a little bit about the Wind Panda, why you guys get a rank there in the B.
Well, he's another bruiser, and as you've noticed from our tier list, we
love bruisers.
We're starting to gravitate to a certain type of unit. Basically, he's going to heal himself, which that's not really what you want your DPS unit doing, but it's not bad. He's going to basically cleanse himself. He's going to keep himself free from all those debuffs. He's going to keep himself alive a little bit. But the big thing is basically his cloud. I don't remember what the ability is called. It's just winds and clouds. Okay.
Yeah.
But basically, he surrounds himself in an AoE cloud. It's not a huge range, but it's not small either. And he just does damage. He just consistently every second he will do a decent amount of damage. And I've seen some people build him full tank, and he basically, the thing I didn't like about him was when you built him on full tank, he does no damage. Like he just doesn't do anything. And then if you build him on full crit rate, crit damage, with again, you're gonna build him with defense, but you're not building him on HP. At that point, he felt a little squishy. So I don't know. He serves a role basically as another Wind Bruiser, other than the Wind Monkey King.
Mm-hmm.
He does do a decent amount of damage though if you do build him crit. Like I've seen him do top damage in some games. He's not easy to kill because you build him on defense. You build him. He's got this one ability which cleanses himself and provides continuous recovery. So he's not someone you really want to target. Usually, you want to leave him for last. And so he just consistently gets his damage off, and there's not really a whole lot you can do about him.
Right.
And in the future, I don't know exactly when we're getting it, but we're going to be getting, like, Korea already has it. They have Despair runes and Vampire runes. And there's a lot of speculation with this Winds and Clouds ability that basically every single tick of his ability is going to have a chance to proc Despair runes. And that could be incredibly strong when that comes out.
Right. That's great. I didn't, that's so funny. I didn't even think about all the runes that we currently don't have in the game that we had at Sky Arena. Yeah. That's gonna be interesting with those runes with interesting mechanics like the Despairs become in here.
I'm pretty interested for Despair runes because I think it's going to make a lot of CC units a lot better, like Rika and Feng Yan, and there's just the units that can provide some AoE CC, which would be nice. It might help change the meta up a little bit, and then also I don't know when we're getting him because I don't even think Korea has them yet, but it'd be really nice to be able to destroy HP. I don't remember what they're called in Sky Arena.
Destroy runes, yeah, that's it.
Destroy runes. Okay, yeah, it would be really nice to have destroy runes.
Right. Let me ask one thing here too. Like, and again, this is the thing that kind of really surprised me. I didn't even realize it. This, everybody knows in this particular game here, they got the little hashtag to kind of like coin like what all the things they could do, so that if you decide to go in here and like do the search for it, you can find units for it. Now, this is the one that kind of threw me off guard here, the pull feature. CC effect pulls towards the caster target zone and is unable to act. So this pull, obviously a pull's a pull, but unable to act, does that mean it's almost like a provoke, like they cannot use their skills, or
no, it's just like a short, like it pulls them in, and then during that like pull they can't act. So
okay, so
it's very short CC, but it helps land up some, like if you've got AoE units, if you've got a pull, it's just a nice little feature. I haven't seen anybody really abuse it yet.
Okay, so
I think it's on his alt.
Oh, okay. Is it only on his? Okay, yeah. This must be it. So Yeah, because I'm taking a look here. I was like looking at the main skills as to like, okay, where is the pull? What makes it so good? And people are
Yeah,
like, well, he gets a pull feature. When I'm like, well, that's the alt though. Like, how often do you get to get the alt in an RTA match? But maybe I'm
yeah.
off.
I
I've
mean, it does have, because again, as you've noticed, our current meta is very based around like another reason why Cleef is so strong. It's very based around bruisers right now,
sure.
and some matches just go on a very long time, and you'll get multiple ults off, and some matches are over long before you get an ult. So, like as I was saying earlier with the taunt on Red Panda, some matches are over before you get 3 mana or before you get 4 mana.
Right.
Yeah, your priority target you're trying to win a match with. Like I brought Argon one game, and Karambit killed Argon in 3 seconds, and
Oh my
I was like,
god.
oh yeah, I guess never mind then.
Never mind. Never mind. All
Yeah,
right.
just
So
kidding.
let's do this here. That pretty much kind of covers the S, A, and B tier. Obviously, I think a lot of people, while they have a lot of units here that can be used in certain situations, most people are going to be focused on those top three here. So let's get your favorite picks here. Your top three units. They don't have to be in any specific tier or whatnot here, but what are some of the units that just like, without question, are just like super unique, super cool that you're just like, man, people got to take advantage of these units if they have them.
First one is definitely Anavel. A lot of people are very underwhelmed by Anavel because she doesn't have the healing numbers that Woosa, Juno, etc. have. But she has her passive basically keeps your team free from being CC'd. It's so good against provokes. Like with her AoE cleanse on her skill 1 or her skill 2, sorry, her Q. Basically keeping your entire team free from basically provokes, etc. And the big thing with Anavel that a lot of people don't take advantage of is because a lot of her utility is already just built into her kit, you don't actually have to build her full support. And so people have been building her, including me, on Rage Blade and building her full crit rate crit damage for her skill 3. And her skill 3 is just an AoE defense break, but it does a decent amount of damage and scales with max HP. And her ultimate is what really you can take advantage of it. Basically, if you can build up your ultimate over the entire fight with her like just cleansing and healing your team and doing a little bit of damage here and there, uh, if you build her on full crit rate crit damage and then you pop that ultimate, you can. I've seen it like AOE. She will AOE apply like 4 defense breaks and deal about 75% damage to their entire team. Like
Hmm.
some of the Anavel ults you'll see are just absolutely disgusting if you go their full damage.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you call this one out here because, again, I'm a typical Sky Arena player just thinking of, okay, I know she cleanses, defense breaks, and whatever, but completely overlooked the fact that she has this ability to cleanse this. I mean, this without question just makes this abnormally strong. That's insane to be
Yeah,
able to.
every 2 seconds.
That is actually insane right there. Like if you got, I mean, and the cool
Yeah,
thing about this is for the people that have spent a little money in this game, they all got a copy.
yeah, everybody has
Others,
Anavel.
yeah, not everybody, but
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. But people that put a couple bucks in the game, they can mess around with this, test this out, and build this one up here. So very very cool. Okay,
One problem with Anavel, because from what I just talked about, she has really high rune requirements, but to make her really really shine, because you're gonna need crit rate, crit damage. You're gonna need high HP. You're gonna need a little bit of defense because you don't want her being too squishy. You're gonna want a little bit of evasion. You also want accuracy to land her defense break. So she's a little bit of a tough unit to build, but if you can make it work, she's phenomenal. She's basically my third pick every game. Like I would go Vanessa, Juno, and then Anavel as my third pick.
okay, sounds good. What is your next one in that list of top three?
I want to talk about Sekhmet. Basically, Sekhmet. Everybody knows about Sekhmet. Everybody knows what Sekhmet does. They've had all sorts of problems with Sekhmet, and a lot of people speculating that there's a future balance patch gonna come bring her down a little bit more than what she is currently. And other than Battlefield in top Brawl right now in both NA and Korea, she's not actually really being used that often. She's gotten nerfed to the point where she's really balanced. She steals beneficial effects. She does a ton of damage to a single target. Defense breaks, but in high brawl games, you're not letting people get full mana that often. Like you're not gonna be able to use your E twice because that's usually what ends up killing people because you can basically one shot someone if you use your E twice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, top games just aren't letting you do that. There's a lot of Cleefs in the meta right now, and Cleefs can just use water weapon and defense break the Sekhmet. And if she's defense break, she's really not doing a lot of damage. She's not bad. She's A tier for a reason,
Yeah.
but she's not as broken as a lot of people are thinking. And at least in top brawl matches, the meta right now is very bruisery, and she doesn't
Right.
really have a place in that bruiser meta.
Yeah.
She's more of a liability than anything a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. She's been doing really, really good for me and just regular PV content,
Oh
especially
yeah.
with all these units out there that has beneficial effects. Even Battlefield here, all the people bringing in beneficial effects when I run into them. I've been spamming. Like that's one of the things that my man Y cousin Majid told me. Just you got segment. Just spam that. Just spam that skill 3. You snipe a unit. You'll get it down.
Yeah.
I'm like, he told me to do that the first time. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. We started killing people left and right. I'm like, it's just that easy. All right.
Yeah. I would still recommend people like new players today. If you're first starting off, you got the selective summons. I would still pick Sekhmet, even though I'm
Right.
saying she's not as great as people think. She's still a top PV unit. She's the best unit in Brawl in my opinion, or at least one of the top units in Brawl. She's still good in PvP. She's still good in Brawl. Just when you get to the top ranks, she's not as busted as people think. She's not really being picked that often anymore.
Okay. Right on. All right. And your last one you got in the list?
Oh, all right. I'm going off board here.
Uh-oh.
I'm going with Chandra down in D tier.
Oh my god, yo, so this is so sick. So I just recently, I did the summoning session. You were there, and I took a look at the
I had to leave halfway through, so I didn't even see what you pulled. Are you telling me you pulled Chandra?
So I literally said on stream, I pulled Chandra, and I'm like,
okay.
like I looked at this, and I'm sitting here like, we were talking about the future patch coming in, and like the water beetle and how important it's going to be for a Orbia user, but I was like, wait a second, this is kind of a budget, water beetle. It's kind of budget, Cleef Endure, like it protects the summoner. If it's attacked, it gets to defend. I mean, unless I'm missing something like this, he seems like a really good candidate for Orbia users.
Yeah, I think he's just a good candidate in general. Again, our current meta is very brawly, bruisery, long fights, and he does a great job of keeping some of that damage so that Lupinuses aren't quite sniping some of your important characters. The one thing with Chandra that basically, like, we didn't see a lot of them built. I still haven't seen that many Chandras. That's why I'm going really off board with this one.
Yeah.
I just see a lot of potential. Not a lot, but I see potential in this unit. One thing that everyone was kind of nervous about was like, well, what if you just strip the buff? What if you just ignore the buff? Because like Lupinuses, Karambits, Sekhmets, everyone was just ignoring buffs because of Cleef. But people are starting to move away from those units a little bit. People are picking more just straight bruiser, like Anavels, and like the Juno is still super popular, and a lot of those units are still popular. But people are starting to build different comps that don't quite always have some way to ignore beneficial effects. And even still, because people are going more light on those effects, you're starting to see more viability in some of the units, like possibly Chandra, who can provide a lot of utility to your teammates.
Yeah. This kid is really, really interesting. Like I said, when I initially looked at it, I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But then I'm like, wait a minute, like the protection that he can provide seems really, really strong given what Orbia is and the kind of support
also,
that
like,
we're lacking right now.
Tayor is doing a lot of damage as like a frontline bruiser tank, and I see Chandra as a very similar role of like frontline bruiser damagey like defense type where you can provide defense ups and keep your summoner alive.
Right. And one thing to kind of point here too that I'm so used to seeing like, no cooldown here, then a low to mid, cooldown or sorry, mana cost, and then a super, high mana cost or whatnot. The defend is actually a 3 mana cost here. So this is something that when it's maxed out here, You can keep up for 20
And
seconds and then cool down 18. So like, look at this. It's literally
you
100%
keep that
effective.
up permanently.
Yeah.
Again, people are still using a lot of strippers. There's Juno, there's Sekhmet, there's ignore beneficial effects that are gonna ignore this kind of thing. So it's not gonna be, I don't know, it's not gonna keep your summoner alive as well as people think that like this is the be all end all solution. But if you can even prevent some damage, and then while also being able to dish out damage like a Tayor, that's kind of what you want right now in the bruiser meta. Like there's no, if there was just a be all end all like this is the solution, then it would be S tier, but it's not. But I think that it still has a lot of utility in preventing some damage, just preventing some chip damage. You know, like maybe as I was talking about with the Anavel, is just like dropping giant AOE ults on your summoner. If you can prevent some of that damage because that doesn't ignore beneficial effects, I think that would be great.
I like it. Definitely. Good choice there. I like it. Good choice. But yeah,
I'm surprised. I can't believe you pulled him.
Yeah.
Right as...
Yeah. No, I literally just pulled him not even 24 hours ago. So I'm glad that I got him. Okay. And we'll have to wait and see because I got so many units to play around with now. Juno, the Chandra. It's gonna be hard.
I love that this game is handing out reset stones so easily, so that people can actually try some of these units. Because again, with Chandra, I don't know. I don't quite know how good it's gonna be yet. But because of reset stones, somebody can go out and try it and let me know.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't have Chandra just yet. So
let us all know. Good deal, my man. Any other like kind of tidbits that you want to provide the community when it comes to this tier list outside of the, hey, this is a disclaimer, subjective, based on our opinions here. Don't get upset if your unit wasn't double S tier. Any last words?
Yeah, well, KR like the KR meta seems to be like a decent amount different than ours, and we're getting balance patch updates already. Like the game's only been out for like 2 months, we're already getting a balance patch update. So just because a unit is D tier right now doesn't mean it's going to be D tier forever. Even some of the lower tier units in there right now, I could see having some viability. I'm actually really excited for the Fire Mermaid when, like, after the patch, the Fire Mermaid looks usable. I wouldn't say it's like A tier, S tier, but it looks like an interesting unit I might want to build. And also the game's only been out for, again, like 2 months, and a lot of the opinions of the top RTA players are what we've seen a lot of so far. A lot of the D tier units we haven't even seen, because I'm guessing it's because people aren't using them, most likely because they're not great, but there could be some surprise sleeper picks out there that we haven't seen the potential of yet.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that I was thinking about, before getting into this video here, I think it'd be super cool because I'll reach out to your community as far as the people that made this tier list here. I think it'd be super cool to get some of you guys on board here to record like a little bit of gameplay. One of the things that I was really, really big on in Sky Arena is in my early days as a YouTuber here was jumping into the arena and essentially just kind of going through my thought process here, why I pick the units that I do, why I'm banning this and that, whatever. Just kind of go over the thought process as you are attacking them so that people can kind of get an idea, what kind of strategies you're trying to employ on these people here, and they can kind of use those strategies, as they climb up in the ranks here. So if that sounds kind of interesting, let me know. We can do that down the road.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, that'd be super fun.
I've already because I can only do a certain amount of brawl games per day, I'm like itching to play more. So I've been like watching some of my friends play and basically coaching them, like ban this, pick this, do this, because I'm just itching for more stuff to do. There
you go. That sounds good to me. Yeah, that sounds good to me. So if you guys are listening here on YouTube and you want to see some of that down the road, y'all know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and once again, Greg, thank you so much for coming on board and doing this video with us. I appreciate it, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. God bless, and we'll see you all in the next one. We're out.